You guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How was the play?
Switching back from Skype to the Discord, I'm like have to set everything back up.
Let's see. I gotta fix some stuff. I didn't realize I'd do what I
There's
was about to
a
do.
commercial going.
Oh, okay. Let's see
Yeah,
here.
so there's a commercial going. Nothing really.
Oh, okay. Just fix myself. Alright. I'll get you in there in a second, Mr. Melf. Excellent. Okay, that's one. Let me fix Mr. Bill.
Mr. Bill.
So, Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Had a very, very good day.
Yeah, I heard. That's awesome. You always deserved.
What do I do with this? Oh, I pop this out. There we go. Like, man, it's if we've only switched over like what, 2 months, 6 weeks, something, but I'm like already like, how do I do this on Discord? Yeah, very, very good review. Makes everything easier.
All right, one
Oh,
more.
you have shield mode on. What's shield mode?
It makes it so that if people come in here and start saying some things, they'll be blocked.
Oh,
Oops.
cool.
I can't do that.
Yeah, I had to use that. Oh,
All right, I need one more. Just a moment.
Just a moment.
okay, yeah. No, I'm watching the stream. You're good.
We're coming in clear.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, it looks good.
I'm making all of this up as I go along.
Okay.
Like I would have found D's stuff, and I just like started importing it into OBS, and luckily it was
That's
importable.
Why do I look so like I have like 3 lights shining on my face, and I
Are you
look
sure there are 3 lights?
I oh, there are 4 lights.
Well,
Dang.
there. I think I got all three of you. Transition, and there we go. Cool. All right, that worked out.
Wow. Automod held chat for a reason. Swearing.
I could hear her cackling in the other room, by the way. Oh, she's still cackling. It's still happening. All right. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. I think we got it.
Cool.
Sorry for the delay. Yeah, we so this is going to be an interesting evening. We do not have our glorious DM. He is over in Texas, and he's probably gaming already. I can imagine. So we thought that this evening we would maybe take a look at the quick start guide that Scott has been working on over the last however long. It's been a while, and I think that would be a fun time for us. What do you guys think?
I think that's fine.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Cool.
I printed it.
And you even folded it. I love it.
I have a book stapler, so you know.
I was telling you earlier, it's pretty readable on my phone, so I liked it.
Oops.
This is the only page I
Can't do
don't
that.
like. Because this right here, the spells get cut off.
Oh, that's gonna mess with your OCD so bad.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I already made like a little column to like break that gap up and all that. So
All right,
Okay.
so let's see if I can share my screen now. I know that's going to cover up the thing. I know. Nope. Oh no. Let's see. Can I not show this? Let's see.
Road, you want the quick start guide? I haven't shared it anywhere yet publicly.
It showed here.
Yeah,
Nice.
the game cat.
Well, shoot. I guess I can't.
Yeah, Stroke
Do it
can
the way I
also
wanna do.
stop tempting me with 40k humble bundles or 46 like new books that I don't have.
Yeah, right.
He Strode keeps doing it, man.
Um,
He's actually sponsored by Humble Bundle, so he's got a reason to.
He's an enabler.
He sure is.
yeah, and he knows my weakness.
He seems to know everyone's weakness. He seeks them out and he's like, "Hey, I heard you like this." Whoop.
Heard you like
Hey.
humble bundles, so I put a humble bundle in your humble bundle.
Hey kids, you like some Pathfinder? Hey kids, you like some 40k? Just pusher.
Yeah, sure enough. Okay, so I just tried it out, and I would need a third screen to make this work the way I want it to. So I'm gonna just I'm just going to do this, and
Dude, we're on slow mode.
are we? Oh, it's because of shield mode. Let me turn this off. Turn it off. There we go. That makes sense. I guess if we got like rated by 10,000 people, we could turn on shield mode to make sure that we weren't like harassed or crazy or something.
Oh no, drowning in our own success.
Oh no. Anyway, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going. So you guys
I
have the.
apparently added permitted term dick.
You did. I saw that.
Wow.
You did it just for Radical Re6.
Well, congrats everybody. You've earned the privilege of one extra word.
So what
That's
I'm
a
going to.
parenting style that like every year you get older, you let the kids say one extra swear word.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's really funny. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition to the stream being able to see what I'm seeing, but you guys just have the guide or the smart or the quick start guide up. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
All right.
I mean, I also
How's that
have
look?
it up too.
How's that look on stream? Can you see this clearly? I tried
Just
zooming
his
in.
beautiful face.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's good.
Cool. Okay, so what I was going to do is kind of go through here and kind of walk through the quick guide and see kind of the higher points. This might be good. This might be good for GameCat because he's pointed out that he's interested in Shadows, and this might be a good way of kind of.
Can you put a link in chat for the guide so we can follow along? I haven't posted it online anywhere yet.
It's going to be available on our Patreon, which I think you can get more information if you go to here. You could follow along by watching the stream.
Oh, is Patreon not a thing? Oh. Well,
We
anyway,
should
but
add
you can
that.
get the live preview here. You can screenshot it.
Yeah,
Just
just
over
put it
time,
together.
build your own copy of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to read what's on here, but we introduce
World of
Shadows.
Shadow. The year is 2074.
Shush you.
The wor- So anyway, it starts off with the intro to the world of Shadows, so that
Yep.
you know you're stepping into this 50 years in the future, cyberpunk, Night City, and we just give an overview of what the book will contain,
Mhm.
what you can expect, which is an overview of the synergy system itself,
Synergy.
how to play the game, and then
Running
the
the
last
game.
section, which we're still working on, is
Welcome to Night
Welcome
City.
to Night City. So in that section, we are going to have some pre-generated characters and a little like mini adventure for you to jump in and just start playing.
So yeah, this is where we start going into the gameplay basics and the synergy system.
Yeah. So if you've been watching us play, Synergy System is a D10 system. There are occasionally other dice, but it is D10 based versus like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, which are D20 systems.
Some people will be familiar with D10 systems with Warhammer, especially Dark Heresy is one of the bigger ones that uses D10. This system is based off of successes versus percentile.
Which feels
Yeah.
good.
So it's a little bit of a deviation from that form of D10.
But at its basics, it's an RPG, right? Everyone has stats,
Attributes, skills, powers.
Unique to this system, I think, is advantages and disadvantages, because they're not exactly like feats and flaws or perks and flaws and things like that.
I feel
you
like
get
they're
in
like
other
personality
systems.
traits, but they also have gameplay implications.
Yeah, some of the disadvantages are really gameplay light, but they inform how you would play that character. So if you pick a character, like if you take the advantage, like cynical asshole, then like, or disadvantage, then your character like should play that up. Ken's character has the disadvantage of
Faultlessly honest.
honest, right? So he can lie, but it would be very difficult for him, and it wouldn't be in the interest of his character to lie. There'd be penalties related to that, which makes for a very interesting gameplay.
One of the fun things is in character creation has always been for me is the advantages and disadvantages.
Same.
It's really
Absolutely.
it's the flavor
Yeah.
of what your character is, because Shadows is such an incredibly story-driven media. You're having fun with that. But it's such a story-driven media that character creation is very important. So when you're looking at the quick start guide and you play through these pre-gen characters that all of us will be creating at some point, you'll see how the advantages and disadvantages inform the personality of the character.
Yeah, I give an example a little later on that'll like kind of help give you an idea of how it works. But
So
basically,
go ahead.
Ken, you go.
Basically,
What makes this synergy, the synergistic part, is with skills, and the way that your stats relate to skills.
oh, we actually just had a podcast released today about skills, advantages, and
Smooth
disadvantages.
transition here.
Yeah. Synergy.
So, the idea is that the better you are in a specific stat, the more that helps your skill. Duh. But there's then a related stat that like complements and rounds out the skill. So the example we give in the book is, if you have really, really high reflex, then you might be good with using a rifle. But if you have a high cool, meaning not like that you're cool, but like you can like stay calm under pressure, then it's going to be easier for you to like focus, know how to breathe, know how to aim, know when to pull the trigger and take that shot. So it just makes you, a little better, and that's the little synergy bonus.
Another aspect of the synergy, if Ken, you can scroll down again.
Yep.
Is if we take a look at the attributes which build upon those skills, which are those compounded, will and whatnot. Will.
Yeah, we have
Is
will and
really-
tolerance.
And will is one of those fundamentally important stats, because there will always be those challenges to your
Yeah.
sanity.
Yeah.
And
So
then luck,
we've got
and then luck, of course, which is
physical, mental, and social stats. And then, those special attributes. So will is calculated stat, and tolerance is a calculated stat that's based on those other things. So it's not just like willpower, but it's like what's your body, what's your empathy, like those other things, and it compounds, as Bill was saying.
So for a quick start guide, I'm just trying to. Part of the reason we wanted to do this stream is that we want to kind of review the guide and like if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So we first introduce the world and we tell you some buzzwords like synergy and other things like that. Then we get right into the basics of your stats, and then on your turn. Now this kind of makes me confused because when we're playing, there is no turns unless we're in a fight. Um,
Well, there are situations that are non-fight encounters, like where you kind of, like I said, intend to disarm a trap or solve a puzzle, something like that.
okay,
Um,
but that's not really a
yeah, it pretty
turn.
much is in a fight.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
The other thing to keep in mind, Ken, is this specific section is kind of evolving as well.
Oh, of course.
The combat encounters.
Yeah.
If you remember our last session, we were basing it on almost two sides clashing.
Right. Yeah.
And because two sides clash at different degrees, they move as a kind of that group dynamic. So that's
When we did
something-
like dreamscape jumping and
Yep, we did
you
a
know.
bunch of weird shit. So that's where it kind of comes in is the fact that when you take a look at on turn, yes, like Scott said, definitely heavily based in combat, but also keep in
Yeah.
mind on turn is the DM telling the story
Mm-hmm.
and knowing the playstyle and the stats of the characters and involving them on that in turn.
I changed all those things to yards at D's request.
So many yards.
Okay, so Ken, why don't you run through the stats?
So your stats are your character, like as far as like their physical being or their mental being.
Yeah, and what they all are, because we've got unique stats here.
Yeah. Well, I think there's analogs for lots of different games, right? But you got your body, which is your beefcakeness, your reflexes, which is how fast you can reflex, mobility, which is how fast you can move, intelligence. Now, what's interesting is that intelligence doesn't necessarily mean you know a lot. It just means that you can discern things. It's almost like wisdom, right?
Yeah, like a lot of it is like mental quickness in a way.
I would say the way to comprehend your world.
Yeah. And tech is way to comprehend your world from the technology side of things.
which is incredibly integral to Night City, given its forward future centric.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can be very smart but not very technically savvy.
Right.
Lord knows I've played those characters.
And then there's
What's
cool,
this?
which is just we call it cool, but it's just like how do you keep your calm under stress or pain or fear? You'll find yourself.
These three are unique to the system.
Yeah. Magnetism, I think, is like a combination of like charisma, attractiveness, and just your general demeanor.
Yeah.
It's how you pull people in or repel them, but it has nothing to do with how you look. Although that can be a factor.
That's the reason I think you make that point, though, is the fact that charisma versus magnetism is the fact that magnetism gives greater focus for a person playing a character, versus charisma can be, oh, I'm just charismatic. Okay, well, let's retrain our brains.
Yeah.
It's magnetism. You are drawing things to you. You're pulling things. So it's just reterming in a way that allows us to make it more accessible.
And then empathy.
Yeah, plus mag.
Not to be confused with a magazine.
Exactly.
You've got your will, which is so all of these first ones are more like physical based and kind of how you perceive and deal with the world, and these next three are more kind of meta or
Meta is a good way to describe it.
yeah. I mean, your will is like how you kind of your force of will. I mean, if someone says I've got power or iron will, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Your tolerance is based on the magic system. So we had one for tech, and now we have one for kind of your magic. How can you tolerate magical effects? and I know that Danny, Scott's character, is involved with this a lot. I think luck
How much
is
you can fail before you collapse.
yeah, luck is a pretty unique system, I'd say, in Shadows. And this is literally it lets you do a little bit of god modding from back in the day. Have you ever heard that term?
God, yes.
Yeah, I just threw you back like 15 years, I bet you, didn't I?
Oh my gosh.
Basically, if a roll doesn't go your way, you can use luck and re-roll the dice. Or if you get a failure, you can bump it up to one, bump it up one, or boost it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So also our dice explode, right? We have D10s. If you hit a 10 on your D10, regardless of the context in which you're rolling it, it explodes and you get to roll another dice and add onto it. And if that explodes, you keep going until it's not exploding anymore. So
pretty
for
cool.
luck, you can like trigger an explosion.
It's true. And then sanity is kind of it kind of combines with all of the empathy and will and tolerance. It's just really how you're handling the situation and how close you are to being insane.
I've always considered it. Why do you need sanity? Because you failed your will check.
Yep.
Well, and we'll go into this a little later, but with the cyborg character, adding cybernetics to your body takes a toll on you and can impact your sanity. As you try and make sense of who you are and you have a
let's
little
not do
bit of that dysmorphia.
I guess I could. This lets me like scroll up and down instead of, or like left and right. That's kind of fun. So here's
weird.
page 6. So now we're talking
There's
about
only a
skills.
few pages where it really looks good to have them like left and right next to each other.
Right. I was noticing that. I could zoom out too. Like you can see these things like look pretty good side by side.
Yeah, this is where we were so hyper focused on the look. When we were developing this, I really want it to look like a digital tablet. Should we worry
Yes.
about should we worry about the content? No.
No.
I need the color scheme right.
Yep. We spent an
Absolutely.
inordinate amount of time on that.
I
Like
I spent
days.
at least a solid 12 hours. And I don't mean like I started around 8 in the morning and finished around 8 at night. I mean like I clocked 12 hours nailing the font, because the font that we liked was copyrighted for for use only for personal use. So if you are making it for a product or sharing it, selling it, anything like that, we had to pay for it, and it was going to be like $1,000 for regular, and then another 1,000 for bold, and another 1,000 for italics. And I'm like, or I can find a different font.
Yep, and
That
you
was
did.
Which our favorite flavor, which is free.
Inter.
Free is good.
Free.
So-
The font is Inter.
So our next few pages here is skills, which I think these are pretty self-explanatory. These are just things that you've trained in.
Pay
As
the bills.
Scott mentioned, the one unique thing is that we have a primary stat that kind of dictates how powerful that skill is if you train into it. But we also have a synergy stat that gives it a little bit of bump, just based so that every single stat you have does something.
And
Which
we
is
even
pretty cool.
have some of the special stats in here too. Like sanity, I think, is used for occult lore.
No, it's not.
Yeah, sanity is,
Is
in there
it?
for occult lore.
Oh, did we change that?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
And keep in mind, like and one of the reasons that the synergistic system was brought into L is so that you don't, in creating your character or in developing your character, neglect other stats. So
Right.
one of the big things I've seen in other systems is the fact that you just skilled up.
Yeah.
It's very. I have found it because I try to break every character that I develop.
That's true. You're very good at
It
it.
is very, very hard to metagame a character in Shadows.
I mean, you can metagame, but the game will fight back.
Yeah, but the game will fight back.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, in my attempt to break the system with characters, because of the synergistic system, it's all every stat's dependent on another.
That's true.
Everything builds on another. how do you boost your character's overall development? So you're not just dumping into one stat.
Right.
Like, oh, we're gonna be this, so I'm gonna dump all my all into body so that I'm just this tank.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have no reflex or no movement allowance, and you can't move that fast, you're gonna get shot with a rocket and blow up.
And I will say, if you had to choose a couple of stats to focus on, intelligence and reflex will carry you the furthest in the skills, because all the combat oriented skills have reflex, and all of the like utility skills, I believe, have intelligence.
Which makes sense.
Like
You need to.
there or general has intelligence. Either way, there's a bunch there that can carry you a long way. Plus, the amount of skill points that you get is based on your score, intelligence plus reflex. So that determines your initial skill loadout. So GameCat, if you want to focus on skills and be really well versed all around, there are advantages that you can take that, like the advantage educated gives you skill points, and you can just directly rank up skills. Having high intelligence and reflex gives you more skill points to get skills. The jack of all trades, that Ken pointed out in the chat, absolutely, that is going to be your closest to a skill monkey bard.
Yeah, and of course, there's even, we haven't talked about the archetypes yet, and we're getting there, but the archetypes allow you to kind of even go further into that if you want.
Further enhance that, absolutely. And then you take a look at milestones, and milestones
one thing that
play into that too.
That won't, I will say, you're not going to feel as OP against NPCs, because the way that we design your enemies in this, they also have skills. Some of these enemies are going to have advantages. Some of these enemies may be better at a skill than you are. So it's not like they have a base level awareness and like +1 to handgun. Like, they will have a full complement. So it's like dealing with a smart AI in a game where you're like, hey, it's actually taking cover and it's actually flanking me. Similar.
It's true. So here's the advantages. Now, what's interesting about advantages, we were talking about like the role-playing kind of aspect of it, but it also is useful for getting more points. So when you're first creating your character, you get a certain set of skill points. The advantages take skill points as well, but your disadvantages give you skill points.
Right.
For me, at least, whenever I've designed characters in Shadows, it's always been I want to see how many disadvantages I can take, and it makes my character interesting. I think we've talked about this before, but like,
I try to zero out.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
interplay.
I'm going to take 10 points of disadvantages so that I can take 10 points of advantages and have it net 0.
So I can use my skill points and my other points where I want them.
Exactly. So taking something like Danger Sense costs 3 points to take.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go take a disadvantage that is a 3-point disadvantage that balances it out. So
something like Monster Magnet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a higher. Yeah.
But that's how the advantages and the disadvantages kind of synergize with each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, you take Monster Magnet and then Danger Sense, so you know when the monsters are coming.
Yeah, you have complementary, in many respects, skills and disadvantages.
Yep.
And like Ken and Scott were both saying, like, for all of us, realistically, character creation begins at advantages and disadvantages.
It's true. Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is one thing I found with looking at other game systems for character creation is typically you are a paragon of whatever you've chosen. Like, if you're a warrior that's like lawful good, that's you're the embodiment of that. You're all nothing but good traits, and it feels very like 2-dimensional when you put it on paper. And I know that they fleshed it out with like backstories and other things like that, but typically it's all positive things, And for me, and I think humans in general, it's it's the imperfections that really give you that spice of life.
I think that's a good segue. Let's get into the spice of life. Disadvantages.
And what you'll find is that
Yeah.
none of the disadvantages or advantages are just fluff. You don't add it just because you're like, oh, that sounds cool. I want my character to be, hair on fire or something.
Well,
e- yeah.
one of my favorites
Yeah.
is actually Berserk. Like if you go down to Berserk, I mean, look at this.
Yeah. Okay.
The slight. Oh, that's Bloodlust.
It's
when
right here,
something
Berserker.
Really pisses you off. Plus $3 combat actions, but you get a -3 to cool for the duration, which is huge.
Yeah.
And until you make a sanity check that is with a penalty of 20%. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you
Right,
wanted, you could get the Berserker and Bloodlust. So then when you start seeing the blood, you go into Berserk mode. And you get truly pissed off. Like you could have those things playing off of each other.
Yeah. Then,
And, like-
then you get your berserker. I would like to rage. We'll go full Travis Willingham.
And
Right.
so my character, Hugh Mann, I chose Gullible, I chose Hopeless Romantic, I chose Faultlessly Honest. So basically, like he's like, I chose disadvantages to make him like a standard goody two shoes, but to the point where it's like it has affected our gameplay. Would you agree, Bill? Malcolm loves
Oh yeah.
Hugh.
Malcolm absolutely loves dealing with you when all three of those are gauged at the same time.
Hi, I'm human.
Yep.
Not
But,
friend. He is not your friend. But he is. He's holding a gun to your head, Hugh. He is holding a gun. He has said he's going to kill you.
There's
But
no
he's just-
stranger. Just
there's no
friends you
stranger.
never met.
Right?
Stranger danger.
But I'll say if you're wondering, like Ken said, faultlessly honest, and you don't see that here, the quick start guide has only, I think, up to 5-point advantages and disadvantages.
Just
simply
gets you
because
started.
you're just getting started. If you want to, look on our website, there's a page that has the advantages that has like the full list there.
I
And you
feel
can
like
see there are some that are 10, 15 point. Ivar, in our last campaign, had combat paralysis as a disadvantage. That is like a 15-point disadvantage, I think. And that means is he always goes last in combat. No matter what, his character always goes last. And because he's shaking in his boots, he's paralyzed, and he's waiting, to get that heroic surge. That's a huge one. But then on the flip side, you have Dreamwalker as, a 15-point advantage, which gives you the power to walk inside of people's dreams.
which is nice.
Yeah.
So one piece of feedback as I'm looking through this, I feel like if I was handed this quick start guide, and I'm just looking through what we've talked about so far, the thing that we're missing that we've talked about really heavily for character creation is that strong concept of what you want your character to be. And I didn't, as reading through this, we just kind of get right into the nitty gritty, which I know you've done a good job of cutting a lot of
that's
stuff.
not in here because we're giving pre-gens.
That's
Yeah,
what
we're
it
not
is. Okay.
We're not doing actual character generation.
That's right. So you
Yeah.
start. We give you some pre-gens, and then here's what you can use to kind of reference that. Okay, got it.
This explains what your character. So the quick start is essentially the explanation of what your character sheet says.
Okay.
Well, and
And
like
how-
D having the quick start, right, to go do this weekend. Here's the quick start guide. Here's some characters. Let's go play. Right?
By the way, he really liked the character sheets. Like when he held them in his hand, he was like, it was like kind of a reverent thing. And I had what was nice is I have some kind of like thicker grade paper, and this is how we printed it on. Thick. Yeah.
thick.
Okay, so we have your advantages, we have your disadvantages. I know why we did it. But now I'm looking at it, it just feels like we're missing all the other good juicy bits without having all of the advantages and
Well,
disadvantages.
this is the taster, Ken.
I know.
You can't give him the full filling.
Oh, here's what we could do, Scott. maybe in the bottom here you could say plus like X more, however many more disadvantages there are, and then C play CRB for more information or whatever. Because the first taste is free, and they get it's like, oh, I need more.
No,
That's
all.
going to be the whole back page of the book will be, to unlock the 50 advantages and disadvantages and character gen.
So hear me out. Hear me out. So I'm someone who's never heard about the system, and I've got my quick start. I've got my pre-gen. I'm looking through my advantages and disadvantages. Without any other context, I would think that this was it.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, like, it'd be nice, and maybe it's just in here, and I haven't seen it.
Nope.
Okay.
I just, put the absolute basics here.
Okay.
Well,
I think we have space. We can put it in there somewhere.
What I would say
Yeah.
is, because Ken, your concern is valid, is in the beginning when you take a look, you have the World of Shadows, the synergy system. I would say the World of Shadows,
Mm-hmm.
or
Have a
even
little
before,
paragraph.
or even before the World of Shadows. Welcome
To the quick start guide. Yep, that's perfect.
This is a snapshot, a small snapshot
Of what you'll get.
of the larger core rulebook that is in development.
Yep, that's perfect.
What you will find in here entails pre-gen characters for you to play. The content of the quick start guide in and of itself is fundamentally for the explanation and understanding of how to play the character, what the stats and statistics represent, and then go, welcome to the World of Shadows.
That's it. Scott, did you write that down?
I have the book open right now. I'll just type that in.
Excellent.
Well, it's not like this isn't been. Is this being recorded?
It is. Yeah. It's
Okay,
being
so
streamed,
maybe-
so yeah.
I mean, my bullshit's inspirational. You only get it once.
Yeah. Well, so just so you guys know, this is not going to be a podcast, but it will be on the Decode or the Get Dangerous YouTube channel.
Nice.
Probably in
But does that
10 days.
how does that one sound to you guys, and how does that feel to you guys?
No, that
I like.
that's perfect.
I
It
like
gives
that.
all the context about
It's
why
in
you're
the
here.
What to expect
Yeah.
section, perhaps.
Yeah.
That just says what to expect. This is not the full game.
Go here to get the full game.
Wait, you're zipping through the archetypes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just like looking at you guys scrolling around.
Look
Because
at you.
that's
Okay.
kind of like a big thing. Is
Here we go.
With
Yeah.
people's attention span, everything else. Put it
I
right at the
want
beginning. This is the quick start guide. Here's Shadows. And then
Yeah,
just-
I can even throw in like, my plan is to have so we have the cover.
Mhm.
We have the cover. And then we have a blank back cover. My plan is to have like an inside, right inside, to have like about Get Dangerous, about Shadows, to learn more, visit us at shadowsrpg.com.
That's a cool idea. So do that, and
Like
then
a full page.
yeah, full page.
Full page
And
ad.
then do a page opposite, which is
And
welcome to the
this
quick
will be
start.
the ad. This will be the facing page that says "Welcome to the Quick Start Guide."
That's great. Yeah. It's
And
like the
then-
inner leaf.
And then you still keep the editing and the content that you've already created, so that way you don't have to mess with the. Yes, let's make Scott's life easier. So
I like that.
that's okay. Hey, we did ideas.
Hercules,
This is the-
Hercules.
Quicker Start Guide, even.
Yeah.
The Quick Start Guide, I stopped around page 50 when I was like, this is no longer quick. But in the grand scheme of things, the whole core rulebook is going to total in around 300 pages. So,
Oh my god. Okay, this is why you've been telling me to slow my roll on this.
That's going to be rolled out into another book, by the way.
I get it. I get it. Okay.
when you're like, in the beginning, El
In,
Shub
in the
was-
beginning,
I was like, dude,
Bill, this is 30 pages. Stop.
yeah.
Sorry.
No,
By
it's
the
good.
by the way,
We'll-
people who are
We'll
watching,
have the
that's just
lore book,
that's a glimpse into our creative process. By the way.
We get the lore nerds like Bill and Dee, and they just data dump on the analytics like us, Chris, or not Chris, but Scott and myself.
And then Scott and Ken go, no, no,
I go,
no
"Hey,
more
Dee,
lore.
How come a dagger counts as a martial arts item?"
It's cool, right?
And-
Yeah. Just throws up his hands.
All right, so archetypes. We don't have your standard race class sort of thing like you would have in other games where you're like, I'm a tiefling warlord, which is an excellent combo, by the way. Or like, I'm a, alien assassin, or I'm a shape-shifting cleric, or whatever. We don't have that in this. We have archetypes because basically everyone is starting out as human to some degree, and then you can stay human, and then you can be like human plus. My wife just asked me if I wanted ice cream. Yes.
That's actually a really good point, and that's something Dee has mentioned quite a bit, is the fact that the human is what you're starting off with.
Yeah.
And then
And this is
you
where
were
you
bit-
can-
you were bit by a vampire. Let's go into that archetype and see how it fits. And that's in the core rulebook itself, not in the quick start. You take a look at where we actually start people off with, which is where's the level of your campaign.
Right.
Are you talking it at street level? And every archetype rolls from that. So all the pre-gen characters that we'll be creating for the quick start for you guys to play are based off that same principle. You will start off at street level. You will all roll the same level of dice for every archetype, and then we flush out the archetype and the archetypal enhancements that happen to that base human.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So the archetypes that we have in the game, you can kind of consider human to be an archetype, but we have a human, and then we have arcanist. Then we have to probably decide on a definition there. Is it is it arcanist or arcanist? We have to figure out the pronunciation. I say arcanist.
Okay, that's a conversation that'll take us about 5 hours.
Let's just stick with
So,
magic.
Yes, GameCat. Yes, Danny is an arcanist. And then we have
Cyborgs.
cyborg, and a professional. A professional is and a cyborg are human, as is an arcanist. They're all human. One has learned magic. One has augmented their body with cybernetic parts. And it's not to say that somebody else couldn't have like a prosthetic or even like a cybernetic enhancement of some kind. Ooh, arcanist. Oh, third
Like arsonist.
pronunciation has entered the conversation.
The word for
Arcanist.
arcanist has begun.
All right. So then we have a cyborg, which is a human plus some metal parts and a like neural user interface. And the professional is like, I think professional is my favorite because the professional is actually like 10 other classes.
Yep.
Or types, like prestige class almost, where you could be a professional, but under the heading of professional. And professionals are humans who have jobs. But these jobs are specific to the gritty world of shadows. So
That's what Hugh is.
be,
Hugh is a professional.
you could be. What is Hugh? Are you jack of all trades?
He's just jack of all trades.
Yeah. So Hugh's a jack of all trades. Drew's character was a cleaner, assassin, right? You can get like a true warrior who is like a person who has devoted themselves to martial arts and hand-to-hand combat. You can get a skipper, which is Silva. If you watch the campaign, Silva can like open portals and like hop around the town and everything. And there's a whole bunch in there that are all these like subsets, and they all have their own little like toolkit and their professional bonus. If you're a fixer, you're good at like finding the stuff that you need to get things done. So you come with like a pawn shop. Like your tweak is you've always got something in the back. that oh, let me find the tool, the part that we need for this.
You're the MacGyver.
And it's the
Yeah.
professions that balance out against the opposition of the supernatural.
Right, and
So-
then you've got your supernaturals.
Hey, look, it's Bill. On both sides here.
Vampire, werewolf.
Oh yes. I still need to finish that stuff. Page 40.
Yeah. So vampire and werewolf are the supernatural characters so far. There are plans to add more. Some angelic and demonic characters.
Nephilim.
At least, yeah, at least one
Fae.
that is related to like controlling the undead. At one point, we had the undead, like you could be a lich or a zombie or something. I don't know if that's still in the plans.
Well, we've
then
met
there's-
a lich before, or that was
Furries or something, beastkin, right? Which are like kind of like a rocket raccoon sort of situation where it's a genetically modified creature, which in my campaign, which I'll be running at some point, we'll dive into that gene splicing unethical behavior. Maybe meet some beastkin.
our GM is going to be gone next week as well. Maybe. Scott, what do you think?
I mean, it's not like I don't have a character for you. Can.
I can make up a
Yeah.
character.
Okay, good.
I think
Is Game Cat gonna make a character?
Oh, Game Cat.
Ooh,
Game Cat. Yeah.
Yeah, we can like maybe this week just have you in a session and get you all set up.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Let's share
crazy?
the real guide with you.
I-
We'll give you a taste of the real thing.
I think it's at 140 pages so far.
I mean, to be fair, it's got a lot of pictures.
It has
So-
a lot of gorgeous pictures. It hurt my heart to take pictures out of.
I was thinking about that. One of the things you might want to do with this quick start is take some of those pictures and then like put them in the background here and clip them, and then like put a white like box around these words, and then make it like semi-transparent so that's easy to read the words still, but you can still see the picture behind it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Ken, I know that look. Stop now.
Okay. All right. We'll stick with what we got.
He will literally fly up to Oregon to murder you.
No, I'm with a semi-stroke around the dump. You guys.
Radical Re6 knows a thing or two about
Semi-strokes.
yeah. Oh yeah. Semi-stroking. Yeah. Got him.
Yeah, no, I've thought about that. I have that in one of the many mock-ups of like how we could overlay text over pictures, because we're paying for these pictures. I mean, they're just amazing. But we should use the art as much as we can.
Yeah. Well, and I was noticing as I was scrolling through here is that like similar to a textbook, I think you've laid out the text here very well, and the two columns works really well. And you also break it up with paragraphs. It's not just walls of like justified text, which is what you'd see in a textbook. But I think some of the flavor of the awesome pictures that we have are missing in here. And I know why you took it out, and I totally understand. I just was saying that, like, maybe for a V2. Okay, so
I'm not going to justify it. You know what? We justified. I took a vote, and everybody said to not do a full justification.
Yeah, Justify would make it look like a news article, and that's not what we're looking for.
Well, and I don't want to be hyphenation police, because that you have to set that style and then follow it all the way through.
Radical Re6 loves.
Walden,
She loves everything to be very.
a 300-page 2-column document with made-up words. Okay, so we have vampire in here.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about the vampires and the werewolves is that, again, we have kind of this like prestige class where we have the vampire but then each vampire can belong to some different bloodlines, right? So you can have kind of like the Eastern European bloodline, the Asian bloodline. They're not called that because for whatever reason that sounds very racist.
Well,
but
what we
like
did with
Draugr,
bloodlines,
Jiangxi, like we have these different vampiric heritages.
and that's the main point, is that the bloodlines are the heritages. What we
Yeah.
did was we took a look at the primary vampiric lore in myths and legends throughout the world and kind of picked specific regions. So for like the Shang-Chi, we took a look at what mythological records viewed vampiric characters from the Chinese cultural perspective, and then also from the Greek perspective, or the Eastern European, and so on
Yeah.
and so forth.
The classic
And-
Romanian vampire.
Right, and
I
the
want
thing
to
is,
suck your blood.
we,
Blah, blah,
we-
blah.
We added a little bit of we added a little bit of not artistic license, because if you take a look at the actual origins of vampires, it wouldn't work in a modern setting. Everything that you know in popular culture is completely and utterly erased because
Yeah.
the way that the actual lore is. But we took those components, we took the different cultural components, so that we were respective of all the different standpoints from around the world and the different diversity that could create. And then we created the bloodlines from there. Well, actually, created the bloodlines from there. Then we fundamentally get into the werewolves. Now, with the werewolves, we took common themes that are played out in a lot of different systems, but what we did is we took it further back, and we gave it a historical cultural reference. So instead of
40
tribes
people.
or clans, we went with houses,
Yeah.
based off of more of a regal mindset or a more political dynamic, and that's why you have the werewolves and the vampires in opposition, because in the way that we're writing it is the fact that they were more peacekeepers. Vampires were on the other side, but they're peacekeepers against humans too. So they weren't just that. It wasn't black and white.
Right.
They try to keep the balance as black and white, end up angering everybody, which was eventually the downfall. War on many sides, and the vampires were a huge component of that. So they represent this dualistic nature that exists within the core spiritual mechanic of shadows and the supernatural. I hope that explains it.
I love it. It's the last section I have to write up on the archetypes is the werewolf and vampire stuff because
And
they
I love
have
the houses.
powers.
Yeah.
Well, and they have powers, right? So each of the vampire bloodlines has like 5 powers. And I think we've got something like 7 bloodlines. And so the vampire section alone is something like 20 pages.
You guys went
And
crazy with it.
Each power set that D was able to develop has a flavor.
Yeah, and
Now-
it's not a black court, white court, red court vampire.
But I
or-
like that. That makes sense to me.
I like it too. But they feel more real. Like the
They're
you
more
know,
fleshed out.
Draugr, like are more like Nordic and
Ice-based.
right, so they have a lot of
Ice-crossed.
ice-based elemental type powers. You have the powers that are like shaping shadow into reality, which can be used for more mundane things like shaping a hammer that you use as a tool, but then also shaping a sword. And then transformation into mist, or like we just worked that out over the weekend or whatever. Was like, what happens when a vampire transforms into mist? Like mechanically, what happens to their stats? Like, do they still have an 8 strength, or whatever, an 8 body when they have no body? So
Right.
it's like,
And
we're
I think
working all these details.
and that builds into what was done with the werewolves, because we isolated it only to 2 forms. Keep it simple, right?
Yeah,
Kiss
not
it up.
the
You are boosting these stats.
Krynos
You're
and-
only boosting these stats, right? Don't make it more complex than it needs to be. And then the houses, of course, like the vampire bloodlines, have their ability.
Is Arad a werewolf?
Hey,
I don't know. A rod. Okay.
I caught
so,
like 10 minutes of your stream with D, and you were saying something about like my spirit wolf, and I just remembered that's one of the powers.
true form of
Is
the
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
We haven't had werewolves in the main campaign yet, and it's a running joke that my character doesn't believe in werewolves.
Mhm.
And then
And
we
it was-
just
it
had
was-
one.
What's really cool
Well-
about? Oh, go ahead.
Well, he had actually that news segment of the one-armed person like ripping through the AD6.
Yeah.
That was a rot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
realize after the fact. I was gonna say what's interesting is that a lot of people would think, well, okay, if you're a werewolf, you'd kind of stand out, but not in Shadows, because in Night City, people have augmentations all over the place, and furry culture and just people wanting to be anthropomorphic.
Well, they're not.
That would be
well,
advanced well
werewolves still in their full form cause a little bit of
in their
freak
full
out
form. Sure, yeah, but they don't
in their
do-
full form.
they don't do
But
that all out.
but the thing is to keep in mind is they're a decimated people. And the way that D is built the vampire lore, Cain woke up
Yeah.
and he destroyed all the werewolf houses.
Well,
So you have packless individuals, you have very little unity, and you have a people that doesn't even remember what the houses actually were, their original names, or anything to that effect. It's more of a genetic and culturally inherited memory. But because they're werewolves, that cultural and genetic memory is stronger than it would be in any other class.
mhm.
And that's one of the big elements with werewolves. So the vampires are that kind of very self-centric type of character.
Yeah.
And then you have our aware wolves.
Wow, okay,
I don't even feel bad about that.
you should.
I like it. I like it. Okay, advancement is next.
So we talked about this already in our other podcast that will be coming out in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I think one of the big things that we found with our system is that both Bill and Scott have mentioned this, that in other games you kind of progress at a steady rate. You get your experience points, and then you get enough, and you suddenly have a bunch of new skills to deal with, or choose new skills to work with. I think that everything that is infused in Shadows is all about organic storytelling and collaborative storytelling. And so what you advance and how you advance really depends on what's going on in that specific campaign. So I could start with one character with the exact same stats and run two entirely different campaigns, and I'd end up with a completely different character at the end.
Yeah. I mean, you could do exact jack of trades.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's what I mean.
All of that. Yeah.
And so
And-
what we found, though, is that the improvement points is really good for kind of fine-tuning what your character is good at or what you want to improve on. That's why it's called improvement points. And then we figured out milestones, which is our version of leveling up. But the interesting thing about milestones is they are typically based in that whole, like, you're going to get some new powers, but they are always going to be like a choice, and you get to and you look at these minor milestones here, it's more skill points that you can place, kind of like improvement points. You can gain a rank and an advantage. You can gain a new advantage, and that gives you an opportunity to role play. As an example, back when we were in our old campaign, Ivar he picked for himself the disadvantage of paralysis, combat paralysis, because of some traumatic event that happened in that game. So that's
And
an example.
redeemed is a very good thing to have. And that's the other thing, is milestones aren't just considered level ups. It's based off of, well, it's a participation trophy.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
the
it gives you
it's the
incentive to show up.
you showed up.
Yep.
Here is the development of your character. Because so you show up, you develop your character. So after 5 sessions, you get your first minor milestone. You get a major at 10, and then a minor. So alternating every 5 sessions, minor, major, minor, major. To kind of give a frame of reference, how I'm developing my character in the current campaign. He's a vampire, but he's surrounded by humans. The rest of the team has been completely based off of his nighttime schedule.
Hmm.
So we're reaching the point where he's about to get his 3rd major milestone.
Wow, really? We've done that many? That's awesome.
We're getting
We're coming on session 30.
Oh, that's next session.
That's next session. So
Yeah.
next session, after next session, he's going to take, I think it's Sun Touched or something to that effect,
Yeah.
because he needed to have 2 major milestones to get this major milestone. And what that does is it allows him to exist within sunlight. So you can see how the milestones themselves, especially the major milestones, build upon each other as your character develops. And if this had been a different campaign, I may have never chosen that.
Hmm.
Because I wouldn't
Right.
have needed to. But we are rapidly in this campaign moving to the point where he's gonna have to be in the sunlight. There's been several points where he's had to be in the sunlight.
He was almost, when we phase shifted whatever to the other dimension.
Yeah,
You,
burnt
like-
to-
Yeah, you appeared in a room that was full of sunlight, and thankfully we're in the right spot.
yeah, and I only in the right spot because of a dice roll on the DM's
Yeah.
part. But that's the kind of the difference between considering milestones a true level up versus a developmental characteristic based off of time played and how the story evolves.
But man, are they powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, like okay, so our major milestones are divided into 4 categories. For now, I think Dee's looking at adding a general category, but
There is a general category that
Yeah.
we pull from. I believe.
But let's
So,
take
like,
a look at
some of
those
these-
majors.
they're just incredible. Like, I know for the arcanist or arcanist, I think if you scroll up a little,
Yeah, I'm there.
like I picked Soulburn, right? That was one that I picked right away with Danny, and basically that lets me overclock myself as when I'm casting, because I can when you go to do magic, you're doing rolling d10s based on how skilled you are in that area of magic, and I can pump a lot of energy into that, and then I immediately suffer the consequences. So I crank it up to 11, huge spell, and then I basically like collapse to the ground right after, and my character is useless. But hopefully the big thing that I did was enough to do it. The human ones are really cool. I think you took Grace Under Fire, right?
I took heroic conditioning, I believe.
Or you took Heroic Conditioning.
And skill paragon? I'd have to check.
Yeah, Skill Paragon is awesome. You pick a skill that you're focused on, you no longer fail that skill.
Which is pretty cool.
Like, you no longer automatically fail, right? You can still roll low, but
Yeah.
ones don't fail you automatically.
Yeah.
That's huge. That
And
saves you a bunch of luck later on, right? That you would be spending.
And then you have Vampire. Now I've taken Splice, which is nice because it allows you to pull
Yeah.
and diversify your character from other bloodlines. But the
You
Dead
got
Warrior,
Dead Warrior.
Dead Warrior, that +5 damage is an absolute beast
Yeah.
of a boost to damage. It
Oh yeah,
is
he's been
incredibly
a
powerful.
killer.
And then we go into werewolves, and then you can kind of see like +3 to all awareness and combat checks. Awareness and
Yeah.
combat checks are incredibly important in this game.
Yeah,
So-
no one can get the jump on you anymore.
Yeah.
The Father's Pride, +3 to all werewolf form stats. Like
Mhm.
that a +3 in a stat here. So
Odd and
the-
reflex.
the normal range of stats is a 1 to 10. That's your human, like, debilitated person who can barely do anything for themselves to like Olympian, genius, Ozymandias type person.
Awesome, it is nice.
And then you get like the werewolf that could be that person already, and then goes werewolf form and just like adds +3, +3 to all these other things. So they become super apex predator.
Yeah.
Then you
let's,
take Father's Pride.
yeah. Let's give
and
you an
now-
idea. So
now they
Arad
are-
is a street level character.
Yeah.
Okay. When I put him into werewolf form. So keep in mind, base 10 is you're above an Olympian athlete. So his reflex in werewolf form is 12. His
Wow,
movement allowance goes
crazy.
to 10. His body is 13. So
He's
you're
insane.
talking about a 16 body, a 13 movement allowance, and a 15 reflex. That's kind
That's
of
the
dumb.
werewolf character sheet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, we digress. But that's
Werewolf-
that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the class.
So
good.
so that's kind of not necessarily the character creation setting, but that's the rules of building your character up, right? Like how and all the different elements. So your stats, skills, attributes, powers, that's how all that works. And now this next section, section 2 of the book, is on running the game, which primarily is using your skills, telling the GM what you want to do. And that could be, I want to bust the door down, I want to phone a friend, I want to dream walk, whatever. I want to order a
yeah.
pizza. Whatever it is, tell them what you want to do. He'll tell you what type of check to make and what your target is. So then we get into combat.
Yep.
And it's important to note our skills, combat is done through the use of skills. So you have a skill in handgun, you have a skill in melee weapons, stuff like that. It's not a separate set.
Yeah, that's good to point out. Let's see here. So you got movement. We don't need to go into all the details here. You got surprising and ambushing people. You got movement, and then how that works. Fast actions.
The special conditions in combat.
Yeah. What I think this
Yeah.
is interesting is that you got your fast actions, you got your standard actions, combat maneuvers,
And my favorite is
stunts.
stunt.
So one of the big tenets of this game is that we want it to feel cinematic when you're in a combat situation, and so I don't know how to just basically describe this, but pretty much the cooler you can make your moves, the more stuff you can do. So you're incentivized to try making stylish moves.
Deadpool.
Yeah,
The
maximum
Deadpool
effort.
movie. Like, have you ever jumped through the air while firing 2 guns and screaming? Like, that will get you more than standing still and firing 2 guns. So yeah, the stunts are a really cool flavor for it, because really what they are is it's a combination of movement and using a skill and stuff like that, but they just make it fun.
Well, and I think this right here, the stunt is because all the other stuff that we kind of glossed over here, fast actions, regular actions, these are things you'd see in other games that are just like, okay, I'm on a grid, I can move X amount of spaces, and I could do an action, another action. The stunt is where you get to bend the rules a little bit. You get to do a little bit of flexing on your creativity, and typically that will give you an advantage in the fight.
But the key component to take a look there is consistency and rarity.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where the DM's involvement of the stunt, because one of the biggest precepts of Shadows is action consequence.
Mm-hmm.
Your actions have consequence.
Yeah.
You can do a stunt. So I'll give you an example. This was one that was given to me by D. A gentleman who played in his game wanted to take the weapon away from an individual who came to his car armed. This individual was basically a mercenary, ex-military by dress, kit, so full kit, and had a strap on his weapon connected to his harness. Said individual stated, well, I'm going to do something cool. I'm going to take the gun away from him and shoot him. This is where action consequence comes in. He's strapped up. You're not pulling the gun away from him. That was a consistency part that was overlooked, and then said individual was shot in the face and re-rolled his character. But that's the kind of the general principle to keep in mind is when performing stunts, let's have base and consistency, action consequence, and of course rarity. So that's the DM.
It's bending the truth, right?
Mhm.
It's bending the truth. I think one of my favorites was Riv. Well, first, you're doing a stunt when you're like, okay. Here's what I want to do.
Yeah, you stop everything and you're
everyone
like,
just
let me
kind of
describe.
Or
Okay,
Ken's favorite,
sits
or
in,
Ken's
and then-
favorite comment: is this even possible for me to do?
Here's what I want to do.
And then
I
you'll get
just
the
got the powers teleport and super strength. So, have you ever seen Dragon Ball Z? Here's what I want to do. Like, I'm gonna uppercut this guy into the air and then teleport above him, knock him back down, teleport below him, and then punch him sideways when he comes down. Okay, roll the dice. We'll see if this happens. 10, 10, 10. Boom.
It happens.
Suddenly, it shifts into anime mode.
Yep.
Riv is like all around.
and it didn't help
So-
that the target failed some of their opposing checks.
Right. The dice
To,
were with
like,
you.
Like the combat sense to turn around and react to Riv. Nope. Mm-mm. So
Yeah.
that's another example. So that's an example of a failed stunt and an example of a extremely successful stunt.
And everything in
Yes.
between. By the way, Scott, did you notice the little dots, ellipses are wrong? Look at the stream. You'll see I pointed it out in red arrows.
Yeah. I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay. But it's different. I don't like that.
What do you mean it's different?
Look at the ellipses in the other ones. The dots are close together, and then the third one is like dot space, dot space.
Oh, I love it when your guys' OCD
What?
takes over.
No.
You see it now. Okay, good job.
He'll
That's
never
all that-
unsee it.
That,
again.
I mean, it will be fixed by tomorrow.
He picked up the sandal, dude.
Was that a sandal you had in your hand?
La chancla, man.
He's gonna nail you right through the screen.
Let's see. I think
I
we
was
can...
like, that's an ellipse. It's used to indicate a dramatic pause.
It
and you're
is.
like, no. But in the section about consistency, you were inconsistent. That's what matters.
No, it's it's
Oh,
it's
it's in rarity.
it's in
Yeah.
rarity, so it's in another
That's
section.
why it's its own new special.
It's rare.
It's
It's
rare, Ken.
extra pause.
Wow, this music got really inspirational. Let me change this.
I'm not listening to any music.
It's on the stream, so you'll hear it if you listen to the.
Oh, cool. Okay, damage,
Damage.
recovery, and death.
Mhm.
Let's let Bill talk about death, because
Oh, that's cruel.
he is
Oh.
the
Aw.
most familiar.
He's looking right at you.
Where's my sandal?
I felt it
Yeah.
Mhm.
deep in my heart.
So yeah, no, I've in the campaign that was about almost 2.5 years that we ran, I went through a total of 3 characters. Now, in my defense, I played my character the way those characters were meant to be played.
That's true.
100%.
100%.
Your character
However-
did try to headbutt a minigun.
No, he survived that. He was fine with that. It was the outsider demon that tore him apart.
Oh, that's right.
Just the little things.
Yeah, like miniguns, nothing. Outsider demon, yes. But I mean, yes, death happens. I mean, never. One of the biggest things that I've always known in Shadows is never assume that your character is safe.
No.
And that goes back into, again, the conversation we were just having with the stunts, which is action consequence. If you perform an action, if you play your character true, and that's the big thing for me, play your character true. My character would do this. Unfortunately, Game of Thrones style, playing your character true within a specific environment has consequences that will inevitably lead to your death, which is wonderful when we take a look at health levels. Now, health levels are based off of your bod. One health level based off your body. So it's like you have eight bod. Congratulations, ETH health level is 8. So as you take damage, that reduces, and when you take a look at the character sheets, you'll actually see that they're gridded out. Now, the reason they're gridded out with some negative numbers is as your health levels deplete, as your health levels deplete, you take penalties to your rolls. So what you could see within that thing is you have the health level, and then there's this little negative number, 0, -1, and these are pain thresholds, which synergizes with one of the advantages, which is pain tolerance, which allows you to ignore a certain degree of penalties, right? So as you take damage, you take negative rolls. So like if you're at half health, you're hurting.
Which you should be.
Which you should be.
Which you should be. It was weird in D&D to be full health for 1 hit point and be functioning exactly the same.
Yeah, you're losing half a pint of blood and you're trying to shoot that gun.
Yeah.
You're gonna take -3 to your roll.
Absolutely.
And the penalties actually are very effective.
Yeah.
I've played every rendition of this game up into this point, and I feel that the health levels and the pain penalties are really refined, and that kind of goes into part of the other characters, the other sheet where you got health levels, and right next to it's the pain. So the damage that you sustain, and then of course we have the lethal and the non-lethal damage, and then withering damage. Now, withering damage is an important concept because that's applicable to our supernatural element.
For sure.
Every supernatural, yes, they're beefy on some level, but they're going to have some fundamental weakness. Vampires, holy. Werewolves, silver. Fae, iron. Well, wrought iron.
Humans, vehicle damage.
Yeah.
Vehicle damage. Yes, Barrick knows that.
Yeah.
That was what happened. He was shot down by a gunship.
It happens.
I know it does.
Large scale vehicle damage.
But
once in a single game.
But that's the kind of the component is to break the damage into those 3 components allows us to simplify what you're looking at and how you consider the combat. Am I taking lethal damage? Lethal damage is of course going to go right into those pain penalties, right? Which of course then leads into our recovery section, okay, with natural healing and then focused healing, right? Now on the human side, we have wonderful med teams, right? We've had characters where we had to have a week to 2 weeks off because the human element was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
For sure.
Or
Break that silver card, the EMTs show up and carry your character away. They'll hang out hooked up to IVs.
Right. Or, you have nano healing with cyborgs.
Yeah.
Or with werewolves or vampires, you spend 1 blood point, heal a heal level. But the thing is, you spend a blood point, you're at 0 not blood points. That's the other system. You're at 0 SFR, spiritual force rating. The
Now
amount
you're
of blood,
thirsty.
Now you're thirsty. You go berserk. So yeah, you can heal those health levels, but if you get too low, you can hurt the rest of your team because you were completely and utterly irrational.
Yeah.
And then of course you have werewolves with focused healing, which is more of a they have a more of a like a souped up focused healing. I think we
Right.
actually have an advantage for focused healing, which just kind of doubles the rate when you're out of combat. So you do have those kind of components, but having recovery times is important to slowing down the narrative to make it more realistic. Not the, okay, you've had a short rest, that sword you took to the chest, completely fine. You're good.
Yeah.
Go on, kiddo. Do what you need to do. So that's not going to be the case. No, you're out for a week. You're a human professional. You took a bullet to the chest. You may be out more than
Took an arrow to the knee.
unless nanosurgeons.
Yes, Warlock
are-
short rest.
Yeah, warlock short rest. Unless nanosurgeons were employed by doctors, which can be expensive.
That's true.
Which adds
Yeah.
another. So basically, we would just put the modern medical system into our game, and
Pretty much, capitalism is one of your enemies in this game.
yep, pretty much.
It is. It is in
And
there.
then of course, death and dying.
Yeah.
When your character reaches 0 health levels, all they're dying, and then you have to do will checks.
Yeah, magical titties.
Magical. Yes, Ken.
That happened. It actually happened.
So as I was saying, thank you, Ken.
We
Um,
haven't seen Inky in the chat, so I'm gonna say I hope there are no minors.
yeah,
What?
right.
Everyone has titties.
That's
You're horrible. So the dying, you have to do those will checks. But here's the important thing to consider: because of the inherent realism within the game, yeah, you can survive those, but if they don't get you to a medic, or your teammates perform basic first aid, done.
yeah.
That's it. So again, the implementation of some level of realism. So when we take a look at, damage recovery and death mechanics, we're taking a look at the synergy that comes from your health levels with pain penalties, with how damage is received, and then ultimately the cycle of rebirth and death. Right?
New character
What's going to
sheets.
happen? New character sheets. What are the consequences? And things like that. Because
Yeah.
my second character,
Wait,
it was-
Neopets is a thing still? I'm sorry.
what's that?
Oh, you just
Neopets
got him
is-
stun
yeah.
locked.
Yeah, it is.
Neopets is back or never
No,
went away?
so
Never
Neopets never went away, but she's playing like a retro. Like someone remade the old Neopets into
I
like
had so much rainbow paintbrushes or whatever. Oh my gosh. I wonder if my Neopets are still alive.
Scott, this is a Christian Minecraft server.
Holy crap, that's
Now-
awesome. Okay.
Now we kind of get into the section that Scott's been really fleshing out through his
because he's been
playstyle,
playing it. Yeah.
with with the Arcanist.
Arcanist.
and then
Arcanist.
changed the rules on me. So I specifically with one thing about recovery. This applies to sanity as well. So if you are in a situation where you take psychic damage, like you have a mind flare sort of situation, or somebody is engaging in a battle of wills with you and causes damage to your sanity,
Emotional damage.
emotional damage, you have to recover, and that may not be the same as being hooked up to an IV in a hospital, but that means therapy. Like that's a thing. You've got to like sit, you've got to meditate, you've got to talk to someone.
Or
You've
the
got-
DM implementing a disadvantage on you.
yeah,
That can happen.
and
Drew's character.
it happens, and it's a part of it. So the recovery is a critical part of the game, and It helps you from just being, the murder hobos that just march from, battle to battle, mowing people down. Okay, so the magic section. My last character, Barrick, was kind of a cyborg hybrid sort of thing. He was his
Cyborg
own
light.
thing. He was an illegal character, I'm pretty sure. But I didn't understand the magic system very well, and I thought my next character I will make will be full magic. That's what they will do, and that'll force me to get really familiar with it. So I made Danny Blaze, a 15-year-old arcanist, who is,
Arcanist.
wide-eyed and trying to figure out the world of magic. I know we talked about this in one of our Fiction Factory episodes, but basically, magic is the idea of you're crafting and shaping the ether, which is kind of the thing that's around all of us all the time. It's the force, right? It's that intangible thing that makes up all things. And the three ways of doing this are through evocation, enchantment, and alchemy. And they represent the evocation is that quick and dirty, like shoot from the hip sort of magic, where you're like, I need a fireball, I am gonna scoop some ether, craft it into a fireball, and throw it out. Enchantment is involved in taking more time, making something that is semi-permanent, or like a charm or a talisman that you might use
Arceus.
that has a bit of magic like stored in it for later use. So Danny has one spell that he knows where he can kind of make a lightning trap, where very much like Luz in the Owl House, he writes the lightning rune on a piece of paper, and then when it's activated, a bolt of lightning flies down from the sky and strikes whoever's touching it. Like, but he can't just do that in the middle of combat. That's something that he has to take time to do, like in the downtime, like, when everybody else is doing their planning or whatever, he's there, making runes. Wait, is there a GIF debate?
No GIFs.
GIFs?
You said it right the first time.
I love graphics. So then we have alchemy, which is the long form, more advanced, and that is like very Dresden style, where it takes a long time to build up. You'll have the inlaid gold circle in the floor. You will cast the same spell over it 100 times until you eventually make something that is permanent. The go-to example we go is like Excalibur, right? Like you're imbuing something permanently with magic. So this could be like enchanting armor, or creating a weapon, something to that effect, or like creating a new portal. Like we have skip gates, maybe you're creating a new skip gate, and that would be where alchemy would come into play.
Nice.
Dee recently changed up the rules on it a little bit,
He did.
and this is his prerogative, where he said that the mechanical aspect of it is it's evocation all the way, but the way that you use enchantment is it reduces the amount of exhaustion that you take, because the idea is that you're taking your time, and even when something fails, it doesn't bite you in the ass the way it would before.
Well,
And then
I think that kind of, sorry
yeah
to interrupt. I think that I think the reason that basis, if you take a look at target number or threshold,
absolutely.
and the consequences of those spells. So having levels of skill and advancement reduces those consequences, because when we take a look at the target number and threshold, you're utilizing your rolls to hit a specific target number of spells. I roll
Right.
5d10. My target is, say, 8. I have to hit 8. My threshold is 2, which means 2 of those 5 rolls have to be 8
Yeah, in order to get one success.
to get 1 success. Now,
Yeah. So
Failure.
failures get eaten by enchantment,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice because if you were to roll a 1, right, you could get 2 8s, and then you get a 1, it negates one of those 8s, and then you have like the whiplash of the magic of the spell not forming properly that comes back and hits you. So enchantment would take that hit for you. And then alchemy gives you automatic successes, which is good because some of the more intense spells have an impossible threshold to reach without training in alchemy. So it all works together. If you're watching our game, you won't see Danny doing anything beyond basic spells right now because he's still learning.
and the one time that he had a spectacular failure, he summoned a bog witch.
Yep, in the middle of Central Park.
It's pretty fun.
Now we have exhaustion, which is where tolerance comes into play. Exhaustion is what happens when you get a dud, which is when you have more failures than successes. When you have that, you take a toll on your body. Your body is literally feeling the weight of your failure. And the only way to recover from that is resting. You can't like shoot yourself up in the arm. You can't have someone magically, cast healing light on you. Like, you have to sit about and think about it and take a nap and all of these things.
Why did Danny have to sleep for 3 days?
Right. Because Danny tried to heal someone and it backfired. And
What did we learn?
yeah, don't mess with healing magic.
So this is probably going to change, right? This whole table.
No, the table should be fine.
Okay.
Those are all evocation spells.
Okay. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, it keeps going. Okay. Yeah, this is supposed to be one of those ones that goes across pages.
Except for that center part, which is
Triggering.
It looks fine when you look at a 2-page spread, but
You
it's
need
amazing.
you need to account for the printing. Yeah.
I know.
We'll have to deal with
I
that.
have
That's
updated
a
pages.
that's a different problem for later.
I have updated pages that I printed.
Cool. And then we
I
got
need
our
a book- I need a
gear,
book stapler.
and we don't need to talk about the gear because that's just cool stuff.
Yeah, the gear is awesome.
Look at all these tables,
Now the
modifications.
big thing, which is D's baby, which is the armor, in particular.
Do we get to the armor? Essentials.
You passed it already.
Did I? I saw.
Yeah, the armor's first.
Oh, was it? Oh, right
Yeah.
here. Okay.
The key component to
No,
keep,
yeah, armor's first.
yeah.
I saw gear and then weapons.
go.
I didn't see armor. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
so
here.
the armor is D's baby, and I'm probably gonna. I don't even think I could do it justice. But the reality is, how do we take a look at the natural consequences of damage? So just like the health levels, the pain penalties, and everything else, your armor is equally affected. So there's the core protection, the damage it blocks, the resilience, the amount of hits that the armor can take. Because your armor can be destroyed.
Because who doesn't like breaking mechanics, right? Everybody loves that part of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Right.
But that's kind of that's the thing to keep in mind is it's not one of those things where like, oh, my armor level is this. It never changes. No, your armor level will change. You go through brutal combat, you take shellings from artillery fire that's broken up your mech suit. Your mech suit's armor integrity breaks down.
Yeah.
Now,
Your
sight-
armor could break mid-combat. I mean, depending on the type of hit you take.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It should.
Yeah.
I think we added that in just
Malcolm's
for that
coming after
realism,
you.
and kind of grit, so that like your fights are never one-dimensional. As far as like, okay, I take damage, you take damage.
And if I remember correctly from conversations with D, is the reason that this was settled on is the fact that when we have extended combats, he wants you to feel the extended combat. Not just on like health level, it's the fact that no, you have to literally be concerned about your armor. You could start the beginning part of a huge campaign, but if you don't think tactically and you waste all your armor, by the time you get to that final boss, you got nothing protecting you. So it's that kind of concept. It's to get the player to think how they approach combat from a realistic standpoint. How am I going to protect myself? Should I actually be using cover?
Yeah, taking cover is the way you protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. Should I be dodging? Yes. You're not a space marine.
Even space marines don't want to be hit by specific types of bullets.
Oh, well, specific types of bullets, yeah. But yeah, you get the idea.
But if you scroll down to look at the armor table, you'll see that we have that protection level, resilience and integrity, but you see the armor type, right? So light, medium, heavy. This comes into play with the weapons, which are right below. You'll see that the weapons have accuracy, damage, rate of fire, capacity, and then AP, which is that armor penetration level. So a composite longbow has armor penetration of L3, which means it will go through light armor to a value of 3. Heavy crossbow will go through medium armor to a value of 4. So those are chewing through your armor, whereas like a stun gun, baseball bat, those aren't going through armor. If you've got even light armor, then it'll mitigate damage from a baseball bat. But if you've got a crossbow, like it's going to take that higher tier of armor to protect you because it's got that punch through power where it's going to inflict some damage. Not everything has armor penetration, but those that do can make a real difference if you're fighting against an armored opponent. I will say the other thing I love about weapons are these slots, the features in the slots. So we have these things where we have all these weapon mods, very video gamey, where you can put a scope, you can put a sight, you can put a little green laser dot, you can put an angel mod, which makes you have these like plasma fusion bullets, silencer, all sorts of things, and different weapons can be modified in different ways. So this was D's like homage to Diablo by having
Diablo. Let's see here. Let's see, essentials. This is equipment. I think that's the end of the guide at this point. But I mean, that's 29 pages of juicy goodness, and we didn't read through all of it. But it took us an hour and a half or longer to like just talk about it.
But that's what's gonna help you understand the character sheets that are gonna be created.
Yeah, you get silver rounds that cause withering damage to werewolf. Stardust grenades. Can I tell you? I was reading the description of Stardust grenades. Can you scroll up to where we talk about ammo? The Stardust grenade description is one of my favorite things I've ever seen in a game.
And it
is like powdered silver shrapnel that gets breathed into the lungs. So it may not do the same amount of like concussive damage. Like it's not going to damage a building the same way, but you throw that into a room with a werewolf and they're going to breathe that in, and like they're not regenerating anymore until they get all that out of their system. I love those. It felt very Blade, like the Sunburst grenade, same idea. I'm just imagining Whistler like handing me a stack of grenades and telling me happy hunting.
And that's how the humans and the professionals are able to keep up, because they've utilized technology to say, oh, you can heal really good?
Yeah.
Boop.
Boop. I'm going to detransition out of here. And now we're back to us.
Okay.
I just want to say that I set all of this up in like an hour and a half before the stream.
I'm very proud of you, and you did it after being awake at like 4 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
But
But
you did great. I mean, the work that you two have done has been incredible.
well, thank you. I think I would say that most of the work has been Scott and Dee providing, his services as brain dumper.
He just needs to let me borrow his brain for a bit. I'll give it back. Like, just let me lay it out. I will,
I wish we could
Pull
get
out
Dee in a call right
everything.
now. I bet you he's drunk.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Apparently
No,
he's
still-
going to be
I mean,
sloshed
it's-
all week.
Where is he? He's in Texas, so
Yeah.
it's 11:45 p.m. there.
He's probably still
Yeah,
gaming.
He's probably still
I
gaming.
hope he's sleeping.
No, he's not.
No, it's Dee.
Is
And
Can he sleep on a flight?
he probably did. He's already flown. He arrived safely.
Yeah,
No, I
he's-
know, but like if he slept on a flight, maybe that's a few hours of sleeping.
That's true. Yeah, he did say, he actually told us he's going to be just drinking and gaming all week.
And eating
In
good
Patrick's
food.
Day weekend.
So if anyone watching enjoyed what you were listening to, we do have a website, shadowsrpg.com. You can join
Yes,
our
we do.
mailing list. We now have a blog. We have daily updates. You can follow our Patreon, or actually join the Patreon, and you'll get more updates, including our quick start guide. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, and if you want to just learn about the Get Dangerous universe, which is all of the shadow stuff, but then also the other streams that D does, podcast, like all of those things, you can go to getdangerous.net. That's got his writing, his podcast, his streaming, everything is on there.
Yeah, it's all kind of coming together. It's like
We are a
that.
volunteer organization, so your like and subscribe is very
Your contribution is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I recently I always listen to not NPR, all classical radio for sleeping, and right now they're in a donation drive, and they keep saying it's like we can stop talking about this if everyone just donates just a little bit of money, like they have like a specific goal. It's like if we hit that goal, we'll stop bugging you about it.
My kids' school just did their latest fundraiser, Inky School. 900 students. They're like, all we're asking is $50 from each student. And 2 days later, I get this email that's like, well, we raised $42,000. Thanks, everybody. And I was like, what? Oh, yeah. Like, not everybody gave $50. Some people gave more. Some people couldn't give any. Like, fine. But, like,
It's a lot of money.
somehow the school just raised, like, somebody's annual salary in 2 days off of donations.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like, wow. So,
So
you
I
know,
heard
$42,000. You guys can do it.
I heard Radical
Put the
Resix
thermometer.
mention that she would make a Fae character.
Oh, yeah.
I think to end out this stream, let's have a little bit of fun with AI. How's that sound?
Oh my god. Yes.
I'm gonna transition back over. So I made
Do it.
some portraits.
Oh, thanks, Game Cat. That humble bundle money. Oh, I like the eyes in the hair.
Yeah, right.
That's a hard look to pull off.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Top left. You mean the blue hair?
Yeah, that looks like it reminds me of Hatsune Miku. Let's
I don't know
see.
what that is, but
It's you don't know the
Probably-
Vocaloid Hatsune Miku?
probably one of those anime things.
Let me try a different one. So let's do Fairy Godmother.
Oh,
Portrait. Wings. What's the color I should put in here? What's the color scheme?
Blood red.
Blush, hair, red color.
ombre.
All right, let's generate. Let's see what we get.
Opalescent.
Oh, those are pretty. Are you watching the stream?
Yeah, waiting on the delay. Oh, there we go. Could be the next character in D's Little Red Riding Hood series.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the style on it. Let's see. Let's do.
Eyes are
small.
freaky in that upper right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've got so many credits right now, so I could just like play with this.
I always go to Hero Forge for my character creation inspiration stuff, but
Man,
I
I
should
just
start
do
using the
random.
night
I do
cap.
random Google searches.
well, you come up with excellent inspirational pictures.
Let's see here. I just changed a few things. Let's see what changed. Oh, interesting. It's coming.
Big biddies.
Big fat biddies.
Oh, you like
Wow.
These are nice.
these are nice. Still bottom left.
Yeah,
The
they keep winning. Bottom left keeps
Dead
winning.
butterfly pinned to her head.
Let's see. It's not dead. You don't know that.
It's not moving.
Let's see.
Oh, try this one. Loving demonic puppy.
Oops. Okay, I will. Let's see here. I'm going to add a prompt, and then I'm going to browse a
Make
modifier.
sure mature mode is turned off.
What mode?
Just say make sure the mature filter is turned off.
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't. They don't do that now.
Loving demonic puppy.
And you
Loving
want...
demonic puppy.
Okay, I'm working on it. Fairy Godmother, loving demonic puppy with fairy master. I don't know if master will be the right word, but wings, red hair.
I love that we just have given up on a correct way to spell fairy. We're like Fairy, Fairae,
Fury.
Fieri, Fae.
There you go.
Fury.
I really
Okay.
don't like that bottom right one. I really don't like that.
Oh, that's the next Neopets character. That's the next drop that's coming.
That bottom right one's amazing.
I don't like that.
I love it. I love it because it disturbs you.
Five Nights at Freddy's Part 16. Some
Oh,
guy's gonna be
oh God!
screaming
These are
through
worse.
YouTube at my children.
These are so
Red
much
Hair
worse.
Terror. Oh. It's getting worse. I think that
This-
bottom right
this-
is the Tooth Fairy.
The
No, not
soulless
yet.
black eyes at the top left.
I like it. That's like shark's eyes.
Yeah,
Like
these
a
are
doll
scary.
eyes.
Do more.
I'm gonna do
So
more.
anyway,
Okay, do more. I'm gonna sit in the door.
Radical
You guys can't
Re6,
see me,
you
right?
know.
No,
Okay.
she's here. She's
I'm
watching.
here.
She's watching.
These are awful.
What's
Like,
a,
stop
Bill? Give me another
doing
one.
this.
Oh no.
Let's see. You know what? Let's go with horror.
Oh, it added the
Horror?
Pixar Disney.
It did horror.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I got one.
Or
Slut
What?
shaming.
Cyborg Disney princess.
ooh, I've actually seen some really cool ones of that, like that people have drawn, not AI. Who knows what this is gonna end up?
Well, I gave it a second prompt, so we'll see what it does.
Oh, horror. Oh, fun. Okay.
Oh, actually, that
Oh, those actually look really good.
those look nice.
Those
Actually,
look great.
good job, Bill.
Good job.
Those are good.
Oh,
Wow.
the
Thumbs up.
top left is straight Blade Runner.
Yeah, yeah, right. They even got the pompadour.
Man, it looks like fucking.
Yeah.
It looks like Lysandra.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's about that time. So I'm gonna transition to ending stream.
Oh, please play the
Um,
song.
No, I can't play the song, but I will show it to these guys afterwards when we're off stream. So be ready for that, guys.
You're lame.
Thank you everybody for hanging out with us for the last couple of hours. We threw this together like yesterday. We said, what are we gonna do while Dee's gone?
Mm-hmm.
So, quick start guide.
Yeah. And you'll probably see some other streams this weekend because we want to make sure there's content for Get Dangerous. We still have not broken our streak of a video every day on the YouTube channel
For how long?
since Thanksgiving.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we have like over 90
that's a-
videos.
Thick stream of content.
It is. All right.
Juicy.
Well, you guys have a good evening, and I hope that you're all safe out there, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.